Hi, welcome to Formarte English Academy Online. We're going to start today one of our lessons for the C1 test, which is Unit 12. So let's go right away to that uh, unit, and we can see over here, well, it's Unit 12, page 76. Okay, so let's turn right away to that part. And we're going to start like we most of the times do. We're going to start with our listening, I'm sorry, with the speaking part. And we can see here that the speaking part normally, as we know, starts most of the times with this general interview about any topic, right? And that's what we're going to be practicing today. So if you remember that part, just answering the questions that they're going to be asking us. But the focus here is that we really need to know exactly to know what or how to answer the questions, right? For example, we can see here in the first question says, which of these photos will you choose to represent the way you feel about making decisions and why? Okay, so in this case, based on these photos, then you really need to just go straight to the point. Remember, just go straight to the point, and if you have some extra time, just keep on talking, right? But it's very, very important for us to answer directly. Also, another example that we have is uh, approximately how many small decisions do you think you make in the first 2 hours after waking up? What are they? And how do you make small decisions? Do you weigh up each possibility and then choose the most appropriate, or do you use intuition, right? So, in what we need to really focus is on the order of the questions. Most of the times, remember, we're not going to have the questions with us, so we really need to listen carefully to what they want for us to answer. So, this is a very important part that we can practice in this section, and also try to discuss if we don't have somebody to practice at home. Well, try to find. If not, then just you can by yourself try to practice this speaking part very quick. Okay, so if you want, you can pause a little bit the video and start answering these questions and start your and practice a little bit of speaking regarding these questions. Okay, once you already practice for the speaking part, let's go very quick to our reading and writing. Today, we're going to focus a lot on how to write a letter or how to write an email. Remember, the email or the letter is going to be the same in the writing part. Just to remind you, the writing part, part one, has always, well, you always would need to write a magazine, right, in that case. And also, the, um, the second part is you need to choose between a letter or email, report, proposal, or a review. So there are different options that you might have, but we don't know exactly what options they're going to put on in the test. So that's why we really need to know the format for each of the writing parts. So in this part, first of all, what I would like for you guys to do is read the magazine article about making decisions. So on the other page, you can see this magazine article, and it says about making decisions and discuss these questions. So what I really want for us to practice here is over here in this article where it says, how do we make decisions? I really want for you to take your time to read this article and take out some words that maybe you don't understand. You can underline them, look at them in the dictionary, try to see the structure of how this article is written, and try to when you're going to be writing, because at the end of this class we're going to be writing a letter, try to use some of these words or some of these structures on your letter. So that's what I really want for you to do right now. And of course, once you read this article, then what I would like is for you to answer these questions, which is, did the article change your mind about how you think decisions are made? Or what is the main idea of each paragraph? Or what conclusion does the writer infer from her personal experience in the last paragraph? And so on, right? And then at the end, we're going to do this later, but for now, let's just focus on reading this part and also just answering those main questions. So let's pause a little bit the video so that we can start reading, and let's do this uh, reading and writing part. Okay, welcome back. And once you read the article, what I really want now to focus in is in vocabulary. That's the main thing that I would like for us to check right now. And remember that we have been looking or learning some phrases in English that sometimes they are not very uh, familiar to us, right? So, for example, let's go now then to page 78. And over here where it says vocabulary, that's the part that I would like for you guys to start doing. It says match these phrases to their definitions. So, for example, what do you think a gut feeling is, or to raise expectations, and so on. So, I would like for you to read these and match it with these other. What's the meaning of these phrases? And remember, it's very important for us to understand these phrases and to start using them even in the writing part. Probably not in, remember that the letter is not formal. So those are phrases that can help us in this writing part. Remember, I will be sending you all the answers for these parts once we finish with the lesson so that you could check your answers, of course, and be able to see how you guys are doing regarding vocabulary. Once you match this vocabulary part, I would like for you to, over here in part two, where it says complete the sentences with words expressions from exercise one. So once you have finished matching the meaning of these phrases, I would like for you to use the phrases in this part over here. So it's very, very important for you to be able to know how to use them. And of course, once we are familiar with these phrases, then it will be good for us to use them also, even speaking, and of course in our writing test. So once we do that, then I'll be also sending you by the WhatsApp group. I will be sending you the audio for this listening part. So we're going to be practicing listening part two. Remember that in the listening part two is I think it's a little bit one of the most difficult parts because there's like a monologue of somebody just talking for a long period of time, and in that monologue we need to start filling out the what the person is saying. Remember the exact word that we're looking for, we're going to listen exact that word, but the whole phrase or the whole sentences are not the ones that we're going to be looking here. So it's very, very important for us to be able to understand this part. So let's just read over here very quick for this listening. Let's see what tips or advice that they can give us. So let's read over here all together. It says in part two of the listening test, use at the same time before the recording starts to think about the type of information that is missing. The question focus on concrete pieces of information that are usually not more than 3 words. So this is very, very important that we can find one, two, or maximum 3 words, no more than 3 words. So that can help us a little bit to understand that we might even find a phrase, we might even find a phrasal verb, uh, and just maybe a word, a verb, an adjective, or so on. So that's what it says here. Also, write down the actual words you hear on the recording that answer the question. So it's very important. Remember that they always give us some seconds for us to read the information. So what I recommend is for you to, in those seconds, please start reading the information. Remember that the main topic, I'm sorry, the main topic of this part, we're going to find it in the instruction. So for example, what is this conversation going to be about? Well, let's go to the instruction. It says you're going to listen to Jane Hurley talking about how companies decide how to employ. So this is going to be the main topic. So you in the test you can underline this so that you can have the idea of the main topic. Then it says, how do you think employees choose the right job candidate? So once we have the main idea, then we can start reading this part. For example, in part one, it says Jane explains that employers read a candidates before anything else. So this we can say, well, yeah, this might be a noun. We can underline the maybe a keyword before, which is read, and then maybe before anything else. So we can start trying to analyze each of the sentences so that at the time when the person is talking, then we can find out what the word is. Remember that sometimes we won't find, sorry, the answer at the beginning of the conversation. It can be maybe 7 seconds after, or even 10 seconds after. Then we will be able to find the first answer, and all the answers are going to be in order. So let's start with this listening part, and in a moment we will continue then with the rest of the lesson. So please um, check the audio. Remember, you can give yourselves like 30 seconds to read the whole information. Then you can click to the audio, and remember, you can listen to this audio twice. So let's do that right now, and we will continue in a moment. Okay, let's continue with today's lesson. Very quick, we're going to start now with, well, there's some, I'm sorry, before starting with the grammar part, there's also some other phrases that we might understand using job or work. Sometimes we get confused on when do we use the word job, or when do we use the word work. So please do this part over here, and I will send you the answers for this part also. It says complete these phrases with job or work. What do the phrase mean? So once you complete that and once we check it, then you can also see what this phrase means exactly in this context. Okay, we are the main class, or the main grammar part for today is ing forms. We have already seen these a little bit in class, but I really want for us to work all together and like summarize a little bit of these ing forms. So over here, we the first part that we can understand, or that we can maybe review a little bit, is that with certain verbs we use ing forms, right? For example, the ing form can be the subject of or the object of a verb. For example, traveling, remember we saw this with the gerunds, that we always use ing when in this case the verb is in the it's the subject of a sentence, right? For example, here traveling uh, broadens the mind, right? Or I dislike traveling by ship, because remember that with the verb uh, dislike, we can use traveling, or we can also use to travel, right? So this can be also a way to do or to work with the ing forms. Common verbs which are followed by an ing form include admit, avoid, consider, delay, deny, dislike, enjoy, imagine, mind, miss, practice, reason, suggest. Remember that most of the times with certain verbs we use the gerund, or with certain verbs we can use both, or with other verbs we can only use the infinitive. So right now, since we're just in the ing forms, which is gerunds, is that after these verbs commonly are followed by ing forms, or they're followed by the gerund. Also, some verbs can also be followed by an infinitive with no change in meaning. For example, begin, hate, like, love, prefer, or start. So I can say she began to feel sleepy, or she began feeling sleepy. That means that they have the same meaning. Even though I'm using the infinitive or the gerund, they will have the same meaning. But let's see something very interesting. Some verbs can also uh, be followed by an infinitive, but the meaning is different. With which words or with which verbs the meaning will change if I put them in infinitive or if I put them in a gerund. So, for example, with the verb forget, regret, remember, stop, or try. For example, here he tried to do it in a different way. That what's the meaning of that? Well, he attempted it, but he don't know if he did it, right? What about he tried doing it in a different way? Well, that means that he actually tasted a different method, but we don't know if the new method was any better or worse. So in this case, we are having two different sentences using one the infinitive and the other one using the gerund. So let's continue then with this part. Okay, let's continue then with the other part here. Uh, we are also using the verbs, right? Using verbs. So in this case, as verbs which are followed by the ing form can also be using the passive, right? Being plus the past participle. So for example, she enjoys being looked after. Well, we know that because remember the rules that I have been teaching you is that in this case with the verb enjoy, we will always be using the ing form. So that's why they're saying that we can use also being, and in this case, followed by the past participle of the verb. So that's very, very important, right? So I can say she enjoys being looked after. Also, the verbs need, want, and require can be followed by ing, but they have a passive meaning. For example, I can say the machine needs, wants, or requires servicing, right? The machine needs to be served. So even though I'm using this ing form, uh, in this case, it has a passive meaning, right? Now, let's go with the ing forms after prepositions, right? Remember, we have already told you this. This is like a review of what I have already taught you, but it's very good for us to remind different these type of grammar structures. Okay, after a preposition, the ing form can be the object of a preposition. The ing form, rather than the infinitive, always follows a preposition. For example, he isn't interested in listening to stories, or they apologize for being late. So after these two prepositions, we're going to be using also a gerund. After common phrases, remember we have already seen that after phrases we can also use a gerund. For example, the ing form follows some common phrases. It's worth getting a book, right? Or I play the guitar as well as playing. So all of these underlying phrases here are just common phrases that English have. And remember that one of those phrases was look forward. And a lot of people when they use the phrase look forward, they use an infinitive, but now we know that we can use a gerund, right? So you can say, I look forward to traveling, or I look forward to studying. Remember when we saw that in the last class, well, like maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. Okay, and something very important after determiners. So the ing form can be used after determiners in more formal English to show the possessive, right? So for example, does my listening to the radio bother you? Okay, so after the determiner, we are using also the ing form. So in general, that's like a review for us to know a little bit how to use the ing forms. So once I have explained this to you, please, I would like for you to do this part where it says choose the correct options in these sentences from the recording. So, for example, today I would like to share, or I would like sharing some of my experiences. So please choose the infinitive form or the gerund form to see if you can understand very well how to use the ing forms. Okay, and also part two, it says there are several different uses of the ing form. Match sentences 1 to 7 to uses ing. So let's do this grammar part, and once we do this grammar part, then we will continue with the speaking, and at the end, the writing part. So let's start doing that right now. Okay, well, now that you did the grammar part, of course, you can check it on the answers that I will be sending you once we finish the lesson. Okay, let's go very quick to the speaking part. Part 3. Remember, we are going to be doing this Saturday the speaking part. So it's very important so that we can practice it. This part, of course, so that we can be able to do it in a proper way. Remember, this part is going to be always a 2 minute, first of all, part in general, talking about all these part or all these topics over here, and then remember is an interaction between you two, between you and the partner that's going to be with you, and then after that, you guys have 1 minute to decide the best two of whatever topic they're talking. But let's go here very quick step by step so that we can see here how to do it. So it says, look at this diagram, which shows the results of major decisions people sometimes make. So it says, work with a partner and discuss this question. So in general, they just want to help you a little bit on how to discuss the different things. Remember, you have 2 minutes to do this part, so it's very important to be able to have different ideas on how to talk about for all those 2 minutes, right? So, first of all, it says, which of the decisions do you think is the most important and why? So you need to talk about, well, moving house or going to another country, getting married, having a baby, starting university. Also, what might influence people most when they make these decisions? And third, when do you think it's important to stick to your original decision, and when might it be better to change your mind? So for 2 minutes, you need to discuss these three questions regarding all these topics. Then it says, work with a different partner and discuss these ideas. It says, summarize what you discuss in exercise one. Discuss which situation in exercise one is the easiest to make decisions for and why. And which situation in exercise one do you think is the most difficult? So, again, I think that, well, one and two can help you a little bit also to talk about for 2 minutes, but number three will be the one that you will need to discuss for 1 minute. It says, which situation in exercise one do you think is the most difficult? So you can time yourself over there in the first part, time 2 minutes. I mean, put um, the the clock just for 2 minutes and try to discuss that. Even though, remember, you need to discuss it with a partner. And but if you don't have a partner, that's okay. Talk for 2 minutes. Try to practice this for 2 minutes, and then this part or this question number three, practice it only for 1 minute to see if you could be able to um, develop these ideas or this topic. Okay, so let's do that right now, and you can pause a little bit the video, and once we finish this, then we can go to the writing part, which is the last part of the lesson. Okay, well, once you have already done the speaking part, let's go very quick with letters or emails. So it's very important for us to understand how to write the letter. And I'm going to put here in the screen uh, a, an example of a real letter that someone wrote. So let's read the instructions here. It says, hello, I would like to get to know someone from your country, and a friend has told me that you would like to practice your English. Perhaps we could email each other. Could you tell me a bit about yourself and your family? Could you suggest how we might meet some time in the future? Thanks, Simon. Remember something very important. In the letter or email, we always start with this with a just saying hello or hi. Remember, uh, this is informal, so we can say hello or we can say hi. Well, what I really want to point you out is that remember that if you put hello Simon and you don't put a comma here, then when you say best wishes, sorry, yeah, he put a comma here. It's a little bit it's not very clear, but he put a comma. So he put here hello Simon, and he there's a comma. If you guys put a comma, then you need to put it at the end in best wishes, right? Very important. If you don't put it, If you didn't put a comma here, well, don't put it here either. That's very, very important. And so just start with the name of the person. Don't write the last name. Just say hello. In this case, hello Simon, and that's it. Then you can say, I'm glad you're interested in my country, and well, you can just start like a very brief paragraph saying, well, I'm glad that you I'm glad about the topic, whatever topic he's saying. In this case, you can say, "Well, I'm glad you're interested in my country. As your friend said, I'd like to email each other to help me improve your English." Right? And then, as we can see, there's going to be always some questions that the person is asking us. For example, could you tell me a bit about yourself and your family? And then the other one, could you suggest me how might meet sometime in the future, how we might meet sometime in the future. So in these two paragraphs, you answer those questions. So it's very, very important for you to identify the questions that the person is asking you. So you, in the body of the letter or the email, you need to answer those questions. Then at the end, you can just give a very quick uh, well, you just need to also remember, always need to give an excuse on why you are going to end the letter. It's something that's something very important. The example that we have here says, "How about you? Have you ever been to Czech Republic? It would be great if you could come over one day and we could fix up a meeting. Why don't you let me know your plans, right?" So, and then what I was telling you. It says, anyway, I must go and get on with my work. So you see, he's giving over here, he's giving the opinion, I mean, the excuse on why he needs to end up the letter. So that's very, very important for us to do it. And of course, just a very brief, like, this is okay, like, looking forward to hearing you soon. And best wishes. I recommend it for you always to write best wishes. Let's not complicate ourselves. Best wishes, and then just your name. Don't write your last name. So if your name is Juan, just put, okay, best wishes, Juan, and that's it. Okay. So in general, that would be the structure on how to write a letter. So in the book over here, they I recommend for you to read a little bit of the recommendations that they give, and the tips also that they give you over here, exam advice. Read this very carefully, and let's start then doing the letter. It says this is going to be the information or the case. It says a TV program is planning to make a series or of programs about how people make decisions. So it has asked viewers to write letters to the company suggesting which sort of decisions should be focused on in the programs. So it says they should also explain why this would be interested for viewers and how it might help them make decisions more effectively. So write your letter. So this is going to be your task. So please, if you can do that, and next Saturday, uh, I, you can give the letter to me so that I can check it. It will be great because I really want to know how you guys are doing in your writing part. And don't forget to also read the advices about how to write a letter. Well, thank you very much then for your time, and I hope that you could uh, keep on learning more and more for this C1 test. And any questions that you might have, whatever you need, please let me know, and I'll be glad to serve you and to send you whatever information you need. Well, thank you very much, and have a nice day.